Hello, everybody. Welcome to Amazing New Podcasts and YouTube channels, the channels where stories of resilience, triumph, and unwavering hope come to life. And in each episode, we dive into the inspiring journey of individuals who have faced the toughest challenges heads on and emerge victorious. Our aim is to be a beacon of inspiration, offering a guiding light to those navigating through difficult times. And whether you are dealing with health challenges, professional setbacks, or personal struggles, this channel is dedicated to uplifting your spirit and showing you that even in the darkest moments, there is a path to hope and triumph. So join us as we share powerful stories that transcend adversity, reminding you that resilience is a force within us all. Be prepared to be inspired and to find the strength to navigate life challenges. I am your host. My name is Dr. Rani Thanacoody. I am a clinical hypnotherapist using rapid transformational therapy method. I am a Mars, Venus life and relationship coach and past life regression practitioner. Today, I have the great pleasure to introduce you to my very special guest, Marcella Friel. Marcella is a food and forgiveness mentor who uses the tool of EFT, which is Emotional Freedom Techniques, to help health conscious women like you love the woman you see in the mirror. Marcella is the author of the wonderful book called Tap, Taste, Heal, Use Emotional Freedom Techniques to Eat Joyfully and Love Your Body. And in 2018, Marcella founded the Women Food and Forgiveness Academy, which is an online community of women helping each other heal the spiritual roots of yo-yo dieting, binge eating, sugar addiction, and body shaming.
Mm.
Welcome, Marcella, to Amazing You.
Thank you so much for inviting me, Ronnie. What a pleasure to be here with you.
Thank you so much for taking your time to be here with the audience. I know how busy you are, and I am very, very grateful that you find the time today, despite your busy schedule, to be with us.
Thank
So
you.
thank you for that.
Oh.
I was reading your bio, and it's so incredible the journey that you had to come where you are. And I look at your website, and I would like you to tell the audience today a little bit about your story, how
Mm.
you became an author, and how you became a forgiveness mentor, and also how you founded your academy, because you didn't start straight from there, and I want
No.
the audience to know that.
Yeah. Well, thank you so much again for inviting me here. Well, I help women love and forgive themselves, their food, and their figure. And the truth is, I myself have never been on a diet. I've never been overweight. And I really never had any big struggles with my body, actually. So, oftentimes we like, healers like us, we come to this work because we have some personal journey connected to it. Mine was not that, at least not on the surface. I was a chef for 20 years. And I taught culinary school for 9 years. And the focus of my whole culinary career was healing foods. So, how to cook, for example, for people with cancer, diabetes, or high blood pressure, um, how to train chefs to do that. And somewhere around 2013, I started to feel what I would call, and what I call in my work with my women, a blessed discontent, where I was feeling like, okay, I really love being a chef, but there's got to be more. I have to go deeper. And then what happened was in the next couple of years, my life went completely upside down. Just kind of one thing after another after another. Like my mother had died, and then like I lost my jobs, and then I mean, just basically just one trauma after another for several years. Um, and then I started to work personally with a woman who was an EFT tapping practitioner. And prior to that, I had been a student of Tibetan Buddhism for nearly 40 years. And I have been in 12-step recovery for nearly 30 years. And those are very powerful paths, obviously. But when I started to do EFT tapping, that was when I really moved personally from breakdown to breakthrough. And all the sort of traumas of my past, all the things that I thought, that's just how it is. I'm never going to be able to heal any of this. Like with the tapping, whew, it just kind of went poof. So I certified as a tapping practitioner. And because I was a chef, I thought I'll just help people figure out what to eat. And I had no idea what I was getting into. Like when do we ever really? Um, so women started to come to me and we would talk and they would say, well, I'm eating chips at night and I can't stop, or I'm binging, or I know I'm an emotional eater, or I want to lose this, 50 pounds of weight. And in our conversations, in our tapping sessions, the first 5 or 10 minutes would be about the food. And then the whole rest of the time would be, well, my father told me when I was 4 years old that I would never be good enough. And I'm just using the food to feel better because I don't think I really deserve to feel healthy. So that was where the whole forgiveness piece came in, because I realized that if the tapping could help me heal the traumas of my past, then this is what I like to say is I take women deeper than dieting. It's deeper. It's not just, oh, you need to go on this diet and you need to do this, that, and eat this and don't eat that. But it's really like, okay, what are the root causes here? And how can we use the EFT to address those root causes so that you don't have to have willpower to make different food choices? That just comes naturally when you love and forgive yourself exactly where you're at. Yeah. So that's the story of how I got here.
Wow, that's really, really powerful and incredible. And I love that you talk about the root cause of finding the root cause of whatever food issue that people have, whether it's binging, because I do hypnotherapy as well.
Mm.
And I go to the root cause. And every time when we go, it's always some stories in the past that the client has has kept for a long time, and these stories have affected them in their childhood. But it's the memories of those stories and the emotions that they have attached to that, you know? There's a lot of emotions, and when they are able to release that, oh my God, I love what you do. EFT tapping is such a great technique to release, to help the clients, and it's very quick. So would you like to share a little bit about EFT technique, please?
Sure. Well, EFT stands for Emotional Freedom Techniques, as you said, and some people call it emotional acupuncture. And what it involves is fingertip tapping on points that are at or near the ends of certain acupuncture meridians while you're recollecting a stressful situation or a particular struggle. And what the tapping does is it kind of it's like a circuit breaker on the midbrain. It pulls the switch on the distress signal and dismantles it so that it helps to sort of break the associative memory with the experience. So you were just saying about hypnotherapy, and you get to like an emotional root of something, like a binge behavior. So emotions by their nature are emotion, energy in motion. So emotions come up, they dwell for a while, and then they dissolve. And so emotional freedom doesn't mean we never feel angry or we never feel sad or any of that, but that we don't hold on to it. It comes and then it moves on. But let's say, when your father says when you're 4 years old, you're never going to be good enough, right? That's where like an emotion can get stuck and it lodges in the limbic system of the brain. It has a whole physiological, corollary to it. And then there are the behaviors that we can get into to try to soothe ourselves from those experiences. So that's where the tapping, it's literally like if your dog is barking at the mail carrier and you go to the dog and you say, stop barking, the dog just keeps barking, right? But if you go up to the dog and you just go, it's okay. It's okay. It's okay. It's just the mail carrier. It's just the mail carrier. Then, eventually like the dog calms down. So that's it's like we're calming the dog brain down, you know. And I've been very, very privileged to witness miraculous transformations where, clients of mine who were addicted to diet soda and had it stockpiled in the garage and like, don't ever take my diet soda away, a little bit of tapping. And this is one client in particular, 18 months after we worked together, I reached out to her and said, how are you doing? How's that diet soda addiction? And she said, I forgot I had it. I forgot. I mean, you probably get similar experiences with hypnotherapy. It's like, oh, that's right. Like, it's like, has anybody seen my trauma? Where did it go? You know? So it's really powerful work, and I feel very blessed and fortunate to be able to do it.
Yes, thank you so much for sharing that example as well. Because uh, food dieting is food issues, food issue in general is a big thing for women. And so many women I have met, they are not aware that they have this food issue, this craving at nights. I had clients having craving just before going 10 o'clock at night. They start to stuff themselves with sugar and with
Mm,
food. Others, eat to, so they eat to suppress whatever emotions. It's always an emotions we are trying to suppress, as we are trying to suppress inside. And like you said, keeping those emotions suppressed for a long time is not doing good. I have seen some clients who have suppressed emotions, who have experienced sexual abuse as children, and
yeah.
in order to protect themselves, they started eating to soothe themselves, but that made them as well put on a lot of weight. And as they start to heal, whichever different modalities that they use, they start to lose that weight. It's like a burden that they carry, these emotions, and
Hmm.
they have suppressed it for such a long time. And doing that inner work, what you do, EFT, and with whatever type of inner work that anybody does, it's a kind of self-love, isn't it? So why do you believe unconditional self-love is essential,
Hmm.
Marcella, for creating healthy and sustainable food choices?
What a gorgeous question.
Thank you.
Well, we have this idea, I think, in our society and in our wellness culture
Mm.
that healing is an event and not a process. So a lot of women come to me with a very strong what I call the shame and perfectionism dynamic. So, in other words, if I'm not perfect with my food, if I'm not perfect, if I don't make a 100% perfect food choice every single time, whatever that means, then I'm horrible. So it's a kind of very polarized point of view, right? Shame and perfectionism. And what I have found is that I will just say this. I've worked with close to 80,000 women, and I don't think I've seen a single one like ever have completely perfect eating, whatever that even means. I just don't, I think perfection is a myth. And I think being perfect is boring. And what I like to say to my clients is perfect is boring. Be amazing instead. Just be amazing. Just be, you're amazing you, just be yourself. So the forgiveness comes in and the unconditional self-love comes in because there will be times, invariably, where you're not going to make the best food choice. Okay. So then the question becomes, how do I treat myself? And one of the things I like to encourage my clients and my students to ask themselves is, can I love myself even with this? It's easy to love yourself when you're having a great hair day. It's easy to love yourself when you feel good in your body. It's easy to love yourself when there's a lot of, enough money in your bank account. But what about when that's not happening? And what about when it's a recurring pattern that keeps happening over and over again, and you've worked on it and you've worked on it and you've worked on it, and you still can't crack it? Can I just simply love myself right where I am at in this moment? And what invariably happens there, Rani, is that just asking that question settles the nervous system and relaxes the urge to binge and turns a woman toward whatever self-care she needs, including better food choices.
Yeah, what a beautiful answer. Thank you, Marcella. And you raise a very important point here. It's about calming the nervous system.
Right.
And can you tell us to a bit more, expand a bit about that, how the nervous system has been hijacked for such a long time in
Mm.
many of our bodies?
Oh boy, well, I mean, you do past life regression, so I have been very surprised
Hmm.
to discover generational trauma in compulsive eating patterns.
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. So like a lot of the women that I work with, midlife
Mm.
women here in the United States, their parents went through the Great Depression in the 1930s, about 100 years ago. And, food was scarce. And so there was hoarding of food and there was like fear about running out and, all and we know generational trauma, and that could also include past life trauma, is mutagenic. Generational trauma shortens the telomeres on the ends of the gene, double helix. And there are sometimes reactions to food that women will have that are based on generational trauma, past life trauma. Okay. Then we have the last number that I heard is $72 billion, a $72 billion diet industry that is constantly telling women they're never doing it right, they're not good enough, they need to
Yes.
try this diet versus that diet, and this app will do it, and this, and it just keeps women running around in circles. So one of the things that I have said to my students and my clients, I say it in my book as well, is that you can be obsessed with a food that you binge on, chocolate cake, whatever. But you can be just as obsessed with avoiding it. So the
Mm,
whole point here is to step out of the obsession altogether. To And that's where a tool like tapping comes in. This is where something like hypnotherapy comes in, that you begin to work at that somatic level and you start to unwind it somatically rather than just simply saying, eat this, don't eat that. That
mm.
addresses the prefrontal cortex. That's good luck. I mean,
Yeah.
the traumas, it's all stored back in the limbic brain, back in the mammalian midbrain. It's that part of our brain is older than language. Talking about it is just talking about it.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I mean, why do we reach for the foods that we know don't serve our highest good? We're trying to feel safe.
Mm. Oh,
We're
yeah.
trying to feel safe. Yeah. And, and I like, apropos of forgiveness and unconditional self-love, I affirm that. That's the best choice that you're making right now. Okay. And if you're not ready to let go of it, then don't.
Mm. Yeah.
Let's like we don't have to worry about this. Let's go around sort of the back. Let's go around the back door here and see if we can work it from another angle. And then you
Mm.
just get to the point where it's like, okay, this doesn't serve me anymore. I don't need to hold on to this. I can bless it and release it.
Yes. Yeah. Thank you so much for this well elaborated answer, Marcella. I love that you explain that uh, any addiction, any food issue, it's not just the surface. That's why it's so important, like you said, to go to the root cause, but it's also in in the generations that have experienced trauma and it
Yeah.
stays in our blood. And that's when sometimes we have an issue with eating, we don't know. Sometimes it's not us, but it's in our DNA. We've
Yes.
absorbed that, 7 generation we absorb the traumas. And it's also in our past life. Sometimes we can't find out in this lifetime or in our family ancestors. It's in our past life. That's why it's it's important to go to the root cause, like you said, and to find out and to be kind. During this whole process, it's about being kind, like you said, to
Yeah.
ourselves. And I've got another interesting question to ask you. In your experience, Marcella,
Mhm.
what emotional patterns most often show up in women's relationships with food?
Oh, yeah. Well, I think I just named it the shame and perfectionism, you know.
Mm, mhm.
Yeah. And,
Okay.
you know, the two, I don't, emotions, mm, I'm not sure about emotions right at this moment, but the beliefs that come up,
Mm,
not good enough and don't deserve,
mhm,
you know, not good enough and don't deserve.
mm,
So, this is where we reach for addictions in general. So in the 12-step world, there's a saying, addiction is our attempt to fill the God-sized hole. So it's like there's a hole.
mm.
I'm not good enough and I don't deserve. It's a whole, it's a spiritual crisis. It's a spiritual problem. And the answer is a spiritual answer
Mm,
because the perfect dress size isn't going to fill your God-sized hole. The 30 days to the great beach body is not going to fill your God-sized hole, right? Um, it's the only thing that can fill it is love.
yes.
Love. And ideally, love from the divine. And what I encourage a lot of my clients and students is to cultivate a relationship with what in the 12-step world we call the God of your understanding.
Mm,
It might not be a particular deity in a particular religious orthodoxy, but you can have your own very intimate relationship to that which is greater than your own being. And when all of us nurture that, the the grace of that displaces the lie that we're not good enough or that we don't deserve. It's like when you put a rock in a glass of water and the water level rises, the rock is the grace. It eliminates the room where that negative belief could reside. Yeah. Yeah. And I think, the shame and perfectionism comes from we've really been like we're supposed to be everything.
Mm.
I mean, when I was a little girl growing up, like in my teenage years in the 1970s, it was like the superwoman, like, okay, you're a mom and you have this successful career and you're really hot for your husband all the time. And you're really like you be everything and you do everything all the time. You always look great and you never smell bad. And we look at that and invariably we fall short.
Mm.
And then, but as women, I think what we do especially is we internalize that and we think it's about us. I heard someone say one time, when a man makes a bad financial decision, he blames the financial product. When a woman makes a bad financial decision, she blames herself,
Mm.
you know? So we blame ourselves. We think it's our fault. And I mean, that's one of my sort of taglines. Your struggles with food are not your fault. There's nothing wrong with you, and there's nothing bad about you. It's just things in the way that we can move out of the way in the right time and in the right way.
Yeah. Thank you, Marcella. You said so many very important things. It's like we are so conditioned by the media, by external things outside of us to show that women have to look like that, dress like that. And that start to affect women and make them feel that they are not good enough. And also it come from childhood issues of not feeling good enough. It's like the external world, the family, sometimes environment makes the individual feel a lack of safety. You know,
Yeah,
we we start to not feel safe in who we are because there's so many expectations for women
yeah.
coming from different parts, from the media, from the family, from the job, and so there's so much pressure for women. Yeah, yeah,
So I
that's
love what you say, Rani, about
mm,
um, there's a path to hope in the darkest times.
yeah,
And we're very fortunate to be living in this time where we can have these conversations.
yes.
Because our mothers and our grandmothers they just didn't get to do this. They didn't get to have this. Or if they did, it was very much like in the dark, kind of away, like nobody can ever hear this, so I often think of like my mother, my grandmothers, all my ancestors, and I just feel so privileged
Mm,
to be it's what I call rerouting the karmic stream. Again, here we are, generational karma. It kind of flows down like a river, and we inherit this, whatever it is. I mean, we inherit a lot of wisdom,
mm,
obviously, but we also inherit a lot of toxicity. And so we become sort of like the log in the river.
mm.
Like, okay, that's not going to continue. We're stopping this, and we're going to divert this flow from here over here so that our daughters and our granddaughters and their daughters and their granddaughters can have a different experience. We get to do that. It's an incredible privilege.
It is indeed. We are at a very, very interesting time that we are able to release those traumas and for all these generations, the past and the future, and for ourselves. And we are so lucky at this time to have so many coaches, therapists, mentors that we have accessible.
Yeah.
And we have the internet, so we don't need to travel. We can sit in our home and experience sessions. So I think this is a wonderful, wonderful time. And our grandmother and even our mothers didn't have that opportunity. So we are so lucky at this time. Yeah. Yeah. time is flying, Marcella, and I still got a few questions for you,
Oh,
so we'll go a
okay.
bit longer.
I'm here. Yeah, I'm happy to hear them.
Okay, so I want you to tell us a little bit about your book. What message from your book that you
Mm.
feel most important for women to hear right now?
Oh my goodness. Well, so the title of my book is Tap, Taste, Heal. Use emotional freedom techniques to eat joyfully and love your body. And the most important message from that book, let's see, maybe what I'll do is just open it up and read a paragraph. Let's see.
Yeah, and you can show us the cover of your book for those who are watching, they
Mhm.
will be able to
There you
see.
go. I don't know if you can
Yeah,
see that.
yes, thank you.
Um, I think here, I'll just say this.
Mm,
When we think about forgiveness, we often think about it means, oh, what you did was okay. So, like you mentioned, women who go through sexual abuse, let's say, or women, or just any kind of trauma like that. I've heard many women say about their parents, well, they did the best they could.
mm,
And to me, I always call that out because to me, from my perspective, it's a kind of bypass
mm,
where you say, well, you know what? They did the best they could. Okay. Yes, of course, they did the best they could. However, to just write it off like that diminishes the impact the experience had on you.
mm,
And that's the whole thing of women like, oh, I can't take up space
mhm,
to allow myself to really have the experience, or to really acknowledge just how hard that actually was,
mhm.
you know?
Yeah.
So one of the exercises in Tap Taste Heal is a very, very powerful tapping technique that brings together an element of hypnotherapy,
Mhm,
inner child work,
mhm,
tapping, and active imagination to go back to those painful memories and bring your resourced adult self back to that child who is struggling. And to use the EFT not just on yourself as you're remembering, but actually on that younger self
mm,
and help and actually rewriting that story, rewriting it, and then taking that and re-imprinting it in the energetic body. And so there's a do-it-yourself exercise in here where you can do it. I guide you through it in the book. And the other thing about the book, if you get the book, there's a link at the end of each chapter for online audio recordings of all of the tapping scripts in the book. So you can, sign up for that and then sit here and read and tap along, or just let me, you can listen to my voice tapping with you. But that process, which I really call like a kind of soul retrieval, one of my clients referred to it as the nuclear option. Like, wow, okay, wow, I've never thought that I could let go of this, and poof, it's gone. So, and there's a lot of other stuff in there too that's kind of fun, like meal planning,
mm.
meal prayers, you know, um, the many flavors of gorgeous, loving your body for how it is. I mean, there's all that too. But the center of the book is kind of like this really deep journey into that level of healing.
Thank you, Marcella. That's really amazing that you've shared that to the audience, and people can find out more about your book and get a copy if they feel that would need them at this specific step of their journey. And my other question to you, Marcella, as we are reaching towards the end,
Mhm.
where can people learn more about your work, about your academy, your book?
Mhm.
Can you tell us more about that?
Sure, you can find me at womenfoodandforgiveness.com. Mhm. And if you come to my website,
Mhm.
you can sign up for my list and receive a free guide, Tapping for Self-Forgiveness. So it's a process that I developed where you can use EFT tapping in a very simple way to just really cut through something that's you've been holding on to that you have a hard time forgiving yourself about with your food or with anything, and just use the tapping to clear it. So, yeah, and you can certainly find out about my Women Food and Forgiveness Academy is a 12-month program that follows the path of the heroine's journey
Mm.
and guides women through the heroine's journey archetypal path to help them heal their emotional eating and their binge eating and their yo-yo dieting and discover that holy grail of unconditional self-love. Because, as you know, and as I know, it takes courage to heal. All acts of healing are acts of heroism. So that's where the heroine's journey comes from. Yeah.
That's that's awesome, and that's really, really beautiful about what you just said, that it's require courage to heal, because it does require a lot of courage. I can tell everybody. I've been there, and it takes time. It requires a lot of self-love and kindness and compassion for ourselves, and forgiveness as well. So forgiveness is such an important part of the healing journey. And I'm
Yeah.
so glad that you mentioned that, because as women, we absorb so much guilt. I had a parent recently. A woman, she felt so guilty. So,
Mhm.
and because I think it's a lot to do with the culture that a lot of us come from, where women identity have been suppressed, and women have
Yeah.
been meant to feel guilty, shame, blame and everything. So I think it's forgiveness is such an important exercise on that self-love healing journey. So
Yeah.
you are doing such a great job, Marcella. And my last question to you,
Okay.
what final message would you like to leave the audience today?
Well, Ronnie, picking up on what you were just saying about the intensity of like the shaming and the guilt. And, as you're talking about that, it's like I can feel this kind of lid, like this heavy energy just
Mm.
pressing women down.
Mhm.
But you said in the darkest times, there's a path to hope. And what a beautiful testimony to the human spirit, that even with all of that, and even with all of this, and even with everything that we're facing collectively right now, there is still this flame. There's still the spark of healing that is saying, no, this isn't the truth of what is. I know it can be better. I know I can be better. I know that I deserve more than what my stories would have me believe. And I'm going to take action. And hallelujah, you know? Yeah, let's do it. So as I said, my work has been a very, very deep privilege. And I myself have healed so much just from doing the work that I've done. So I'm just eternally grateful. So thank you so much.
Thank you, Marcella. I really enjoyed this conversation with you, and bouncing back and each other's sentences. And it's been really, really, I really enjoyed that time. And I would like to say a huge thank you to you for taking your time, for sharing your wisdom, your knowledge of so many years, and of your past lifetime as well, which is coming back now. And thank you
Yeah.
so much. And I would like to wish you a lot of success in everything that you do. And I would like also now to say thank you to the audience for
Yeah.
watching, sharing, and subscribing. And remember that you are amazing. You have always been amazing, and you will always be amazing. So thank you, Marcella. Thank you, everybody. Take care, everyone. See you soon.